And more excitingly, the Canterbury Bulldogs are playing this week in what we'll say is a blockbuster, with expecting upwards of 70,000 people at the Accor Stadium or the Olympic Stadium down at Homebush. Really looking forward to it. I hope it's a cracking game. Looking forward to discussing a lot of topics today. We've had quite the week last week. Just looking to hear opinions today and just do with a controversy corner. And I think next week we're actually moving into the studio. So looking forward to that and having some players on. And then hopefully a few of you viewers at home, our loyal viewers. Just want to start off giving a shout out to one of my colleagues who's watching Bucks Lala or the Bucks Report. He's got some inside scoops. So I'm sure you'll be hearing, we'll call it the controversy corner. So more often than not, he gets it right. So hopefully they'll create a stir throughout the week and throughout the year, basically. It's going to be a cracking week. I'm actually really excited. And then we got Anzac week next week. Would have loved to have South Sub won last week to set up a nice blockbuster and have their full squad. But wow, looking forward to Friday. Looking forward to Thursday as well for other reasons. But yeah,
what's this other reason that you're talking about, huh?
Well, the Dragons are playing on Thursday. Yeah,
who are they
get them
playing
out
this
of the
week?
way nice and early. They got Manly in Manly or Brookvale. G'day,
awesome.
gents.
And today we actually, so what we're going to start doing is having more and more sort of regulars and fans involved. And today we are going to have a third person join us for the podcast for as long or as little as he likes. You guys will recognize him from a famous video that he's put out. He will be joining us very, very soon. I'm just gonna get things up and started. Sorry, guys. Today was just such a difficult day. We had so many technical issues. We've had issues with starting up our studio. As you guys can imagine, it's a really tough endeavor to get a whole studio up and running. And so, I've been running around, for weeks now trying to get everything organized. As you can imagine, look, no excuses. But yeah, things have been quite busy for us in the background, trying to make sure we're getting everything up and running. But I want to firstly say a big warm welcome to our members, John, everyone else that's here that's a member. Welcome. We love you guys. Thank you guys for all your support. If you guys are from the Kennel forums, a big shout out to everybody from the forums. We love our forum and everything. I want to give a big shout out to also Jamie Teasdale. He's been sharing some stuff with us about some of the
I love never ban Jamie. Love Jamie. Somebody's Jamie's trying to put a super legend. Chat to ban Jamie.
And look, Zato's already started. Thank you so much, Zato. Big supporter. We do want to start getting people.
Is he starting like a TikTok battle? Is he?
What was that? Sorry,
I'm saying, is he starting a battle with Jamie pretty much like those TikTok ones there,
Yeah, so as I say, there's a lot happening, and we are trying to build this podcast up to be a lot bigger than we've currently got. We've got so many plans in place. I know we've been saying that for a long time, and you know what? Sometimes even the best laid plans, fall flat on their face. So bear with us, but we are very excited. There has been a bit of a slow week because the Doggies didn't play over the weekend, but there is a lot happening now. This Friday looks like it's going to break all records for the number of for the size of the crowd for a regular season match, which only the Bulldogs can do that. Let's be honest. There's no other team I think in the competition that could probably draw as big a crowd. What do you reckon, DIBBO? Am I blowing too much smoke up the Doggies' asses or what?
Nah, man, that is brilliant. I think Phil waited till he's got about 50, 60,000, and then in conjunction or in agreement with the new CEO for the stadiums in New South Wales, they've come to agreement to turn back the clock about 25 years plus. $10 tickets. That is phenomenal.
Honestly,
like,
make sure
like hotcakes.
If
anyone
you guys,
sitting at home,
yeah, be there. All you have to do is just buy a $10 ticket. I know it's up in level 7 or whatever it is, but it's been so popular and so many tickets have been sold that they actually have to work with the council to open a whole new level which, again, is so incredible to see that, round 6 against the Rabbitohs team that has heaps of injuries, but the Bulldogs faithful are just out in force, and it really reinforces what a force the Bulldogs are becoming in rugby league. And I've been thinking a lot about, how does our club utilize that? I think that there's a lot more than the club can do to utilize the strength of our supporter base. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't bought your tickets or haven't gone down, $10 a ticket is absolutely something that I think very few people will do. So something that I would suggest you guys go on TikTok and buy some $10 tickets, and even the payment fees have been waived. So if you have 4 or 5 kids, and it's going to be a cheaper outing than it usually would be. DIBBO?
Look, if somebody's sitting at home bored, it's good to get out and about, man, rather than sitting at home and rotting like a couch potato. Get out, smell the fresh air, get to the ground, scuffle with some South supporters. They're already missing teeth. Maybe you can make them miss a few more. Cheer on your team. There's the Easter show next door. Grab some feeds around there. There's a lot of good food around those areas. Litcombe's nearby, Granville, Para, Auburn, Greenacre, Chullora up there. There's a lot of good food out those ways. So it's a nice little adventure to get out and about. Feel the atmosphere. 100%. Man, when you get a 70,000, 80,000 crowd, it is phenomenal. I've been to a few of those grand finals with those crowds. Phenomenal. It is. I hope it's a cracker of a game. I know Souths are not playing to their ability and short-manned at the moment. Short-manned at the moment, but I hope it lives up to the hype. I really do.
I think it will live up to the hype. And look, we'll go into the teams that have been named, but there's so much more happening around this game at the moment. Cody Walker's been named at 6, and Lewis Dodd, I like to call Lewis Dudd, has been named on the bench at 14. No, look, honestly, it was just a shit decision from the Rabbitohs management to sign the 21-year-old for so much money when they could have had Lachlan Elias or whoever there. But yeah, what are your thoughts? They said that Cody Walker was going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. I think he's only been out for a week, just over a week, almost 2 weeks. Do you think that it's the right move?
Well, they're really short on troops, man. I mean, what do you do? Last year, I think they were giving a 3rd and 4th string halfbacks a run. They just had an unfortunate run with injuries. Look, Lewis Dodd, I'll explain something. He's played in a World Cup Challenge. He's beaten Penrith. He's played in grand finals in the Super League. I think they won 3 in a row at St. Helens. He can play. I know he's underdone at the moment, but if he wants to earn his stripes here in the NRL, he's just got to do it with adversity. As if he's all watched over the weekend, Volkanovski, the great Alexander Volkanovski, came out with a perfect line. Adversity is a privilege. If Dodd wants to make it in the NRL, he's got to beat adversity. Simple. No one. If you want to make it in NRL, you can't have it sugar coated for you. Some of the great British players of the past came down here straight into the line of fire. Adrian Morley, Ellery Hanley, Sam Burgess more of late. You got this Matt Nicholson from Canberra he's setting the water on fire already. If he wants to earn his stripes, he's got to set the water on fire. That's what he's got to do. He's not going to come in there and, have it, he can't just be in cotton wool. Here it is, thrown in the deep end. You got a decent lineup soon. You got the world's best coach, or probably the greatest ever coach the game's seen, Wayne Bennett. I'm sure if he sticks to Wayne Bennett and listens to Wayne Bennett, he'll earn his stripes. He'll make it. I know it's only early days, but if he's got it, if he's got the goods, he's got to,
just on that quickly. Our special guest is waiting. I know he's been waiting there, so we're just going to bring John Sard.
Let him in.
He's going to be.
There he is, Johnny.
G'day, gentlemen. How you going? Look.
Hey, good evening, John. What a pleasure to have you on tonight. Thank you so much for joining.
It's very good to be here. I like to say, as they normally do,
privilege to be with you.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Long time. Hopefully not the first and only though. I've seen you on SEN. I think we've all seen that video of you on SEN. You talk up a storm, and bro, I'm so glad that you were actually able to join. I know we wanted you on last week, but you're a little bit busy. But What are your thoughts, man? We're just talking about Walker. He's come back a little bit early. Lewis Dodd, I call him Lewis Dodd. What are your thoughts? Do you think that the Rabbitohs are trying to rush him back? Do you think he'll even play this week?
Yeah. Look, obviously they're reeling from the loss last week, and they're going to have to find some form to get over the Dogs this week. They're, you know, in the odds, they're you know, Bulldogs are favourites quite clearly to win. My brother, actually, Jack, who's a big Bulldogs fan and would be watching, said that he's expecting the Bulldogs to put 40 on Souths this week if they turn up the way they did previously. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. I think they'd be looking to do whatever they need to do to bolster the troops and the ranks to prepare for what is going to be a huge game with potentially a record crowd.
Look, I think it's already over 60,000 or close to 60,000 sold. So the crowd's going to be absolutely amazing. You know, and this is going to sound so weird, but me thinking about it, like the last big crowd I went to was the 2024 Grand Final, and look, credit to both the Manly and the Panthers fans, they are no Bulldog supporters.
No
matter what we want to say, they are not Bulldog supporters. And I like 70,000. You know, out of the 70,000, I would argue that 45,000, 50,000 are going to be Bulldogs fans, and they are going to be rabid. Like, honestly, that's really what I want to go, because you go there and it's going to be louder than ever. Like, you know, even watching some of the games recently on TV, like the crowd was, even though it was only 25, 30,000, the Bulldogs fans are so bloody loud. DIBBO?
Yeah, I just want to point out, you know, from my observations from rugby league fans in Sydney, when it comes to following their teams and spending on their teams, I think the Dogs and Souths are easily 1 and 2. Like, there's daylight to third, to be honest. Dogs are number 1, Souths will be number 2, and that's thanks to Russell Crowe. If you go back pre-Russell Crowe, Souths will probably at the tail of that field, but Rusty's come in. It just goes to show, you know, you have an influential owner and you can really turn around the fortunes of a club. But Canterbury, anyone that wants to set aside their bias and their hate for the club will tell you nobody spends on their club when it comes to merchandise and other memorabilia and whatever, and following them and social media and just sticking up for their club like the Canterbury Bulldog fans. You know,
Mate,
like,
it's so good to see
I'll
you,
tell
DIBBO,
they can get into punch-ons just defending their club, no matter how they're running. Yeah, and I'm talking about the current. I'm not talking about 20, 30 years ago, because some idiot St. George fan will come and say, oh, no, we got the most fans. Like, please, bro. We're not talking 30 years ago. We're talking present. Because this next generation of Canterbury fans, I'll tell you now, definitely the most passionate in the game. Definitely the most passionate. More passionate than Brisbane Broncos fans, more passionate than the Warriors fans. They can talk as much shit as they want, but honestly, they got nothing on you guys.
Mate, I love hearing it from someone wearing the red and white V. Let me tell you,
like, honestly, this club is a has-been club. You know, they're living off former glories. Hardly anyone's alive from those days. Living off former glories, and it's been a burden on the club. But honestly, they need to get over that shit and think about the current and the future rather than thinking about their proud history, because it's doing nothing for them. So, you know, Parramatta aren't even thinking about their 1 decade of success anymore, honestly, because they've had no success before and after that. They're just in the doldrums. And honestly, if they do sign Galvin, which I know you'll want to discuss later on or soon,
we'll get to that.
It will be an absolute coup for a club that, as its current setup and its current coaching, I would honestly be begging the guy not to go there to play under Jason Riles and that club. Honestly, they do not deserve him at all. I mean, it was just better off staying where he is.
Before we get into
I'm happy he's actually leaving to find something better, but don't go to Para.
Before we get into Lachlan Galvin, I cannot believe this, but Gerard Sutton has been demoted from being the ref on the Good Friday clash. But as a Bulldogs fan, honest to God, I waited for the refereeing announcement more than I did for the team announcement. I was like, who the hell are they going to have as a referee? And I was like, if I saw Gerard Sutton there, I was ready to like explode tonight on this podcast. But it's so good to see that it's not Gerard Sutton. It's going to be, I forgot his name. Grant Atkins. That's it. It's going to be Grant Atkins. So the Bulldogs may actually stand a chance this week. We may stand a chance.
Mate, it'd be good to be versing 13 rather than 14, mate. Every time we have one of those games, it's Sutton there. And, I mean, I don't even know how I feel about a whole bunch of them. Ashley Klein, not a fan either. But generally speaking, yeah, Sutton is just a bad sign. Look, at the end of the day, the game is going to be dictated by which team turns up and is actually going to be able to take in that different atmosphere and get on with their processes. So you're going to imagine turning up 60, 70,000 crowd. That's going to could throw you off. But, the Bulldogs have been working on this fabulous system with Serralda at the helm, this defensive system and process. If they can turn up, stick to their process. I know you're going to review the game or the pre-game later, but yeah, I'm very excited about it. Can't wait to see how it plays out.
100%. And look, like,
I'm actually glad they got an international season.
Oh, look.
No, I'm just saying I'm loving rugby league this much. Like, it's good that it only goes for 26, 27 rounds because honestly, afterwards, the teams, you can't have the players burning out. I'm glad there's an international season. We got the Ashes this year. It's just so good. We'll get prolonged rugby league season. That's what I'm loving.
I'll tell you what. Just before we get into like that, like this game against the Rabbitohs. I'll be honest with you. Even if we won no other game this year, and Doggies fans, sound out in the comments. Tell me what you think. Even if we won no other game this year, we have to win this Good Friday clash against the Rabbitohs. So the last time we won it, if I'm not mistaken, I think was 2017.
Wow,
the Rabbitohs have won it every single year since 2018. And not only that, we got smashed. Like last year, we lost by 4. The year before that, they beat us like 52-14. Both Latrell and Campbell Graham scored hat-tricks. And we were in it for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then we shat ourselves. And, it just seems like we haven't had the opportunity to win. And similarly to what we did to the Knights, where they beat us 66-0 and they beat us 48-6 or whatever it was, and then they haven't been able to score points against us since then, I feel like this is our time to really, really, really avenge what we've been through for the past few years. Like, honestly, God, if we win this game and then lose the next 3, I'm all right. We have to win this game. And I want the Dogs to put 50 on the Rabbitohs. And to be honest, I think the Rabbitohs will struggle to score points. Yeah. I reckon the Rabbitohs will struggle to score points.
I agree with you 100%. It's going to feel great to knock them over if we can do that on Friday. Look, it's one of those games, like for me personally, as a lifelong fan, I turn up every single year to the Good Friday game. So I might miss other games throughout the year, but that's one of the ones where the fans turn 100%. Up year in, year out. So for us to actually get one of those results at a core stadium and actually get the win will mean a lot to us. I do want to push back on one thing you said, Elmo, which is you said you'd be happy to lose the next 3. I've got a lot riding on going undefeated for 10 rounds. So unfortunately, I'm happy to lose 3 a bit later, maybe starting from round 11. But if we can get the first 10, mate, that's my claim to fame.
Honestly, I think it was a little bit of hyperbole. I don't want to lose 3 games in a row. I will not accept losing 3 games in a row. But that's how badly I need the Dogs to smash the Rabbitohs. Like, I just want to rub it in. I don't know whose face. I don't even know that many Rabbitohs fans. It's just the idea of losing to the Rabbitohs.
You rub it in the Roosters fans' face because the Dogs started going good. And all. No, don't hear me out. Hear me out. So it's funny when teams like the Dogs go good and maybe the Dragons go half decent, for example, and maybe if Para go quarter decent. Have you realised the TV ratings are even higher up and the crowd averages are even higher up? So maybe the NRL should just get over this whole backing Roosters and Souths and realise they're better off having teams like the Bulldogs doing a lot better. Because, I mean, let's face it, who's even going to really watch? If the Roosters are going crap or good, there's not much difference on how many fans they're going to draw to the game or on TV, to be honest. Think about it. I've always maintained, give any team a state-of-the-art stadium like they do, and they'll sell it out. They don't even sell it out. I'll tell you, I've got Cog Road near my house, and sometimes I'm weighing up whether I should go or not to a crappy stadium.
So, I mean, there are obviously people are sharing their thoughts. Jamie Teasdale, he thinks the Bulldogs win 40-2. I actually don't think that's too far out, to be honest. Eddie Abs is saying 2 things we need: run traffic at Latrell and introduce Gray to the Great Wall of Belmore, like we showed the last fullbacks. I think, to be honest, if you look at the way they played against the Cowboys, they didn't throw too much at them, which, if they can only score 16 against the Cowboys and we come primed and ready with our full squad, I don't know if they could score more than 12 or even more than 6 against us. They are obviously missing quite a few players, which puts us sort of in the driver's seat. Well, what I want to do very quickly, just to remind everybody, right? What? Oh, John, I want to call him the Dogstradamus. The Dogstradamus.
Do you have?
Because
Do you have the Dogs winning this easy?
I'll be honest with you, I'm very confident, but I'm also very cocky.
No. I'm just saying. I think they'll win,
I've seen the draw. Yes.
and they might
Bulldogs,
win
mate.
by about.
I'm impressed.
For some
I think
reason,
the first
sorry,
10
DIBBO.
rounds,
Let's watch
we're
this,
a chance
yep.
of going undefeated.
All right, here we go. Dragons. Okay. Yep. Titans at home.
Easy. Is that at Belmore?
Correct.
Yes, easy.
Eels away.
It's got nothing.
Sharks Stadium.
Tough one. That's when everyone will start to realise we're the real deal.
Knights at home.
That is when people will realise that we are the real deal. The Canterbury Bulldogs, 4-0, top of the table, undefeated. First time 4 in a row since 1993. Cronulla Sharks, too bad, too sad. We're coming. Jimmy Smith, SEN. It's our year, baby.
So let me say something just on a commentary to that. So I went on SEN to do just a piece about Latitude Accountants, our accounting firm, as you do, and then and the day I went in, the draw for 25 had come out. It was November, and Jimmy Smith goes, "Oh, before we went, he goes, how do you think the Bulldogs are going to go?" I said, "Actually, I think they're going to go really good because looking at the top 8 last year, the draw that we had coming into the season was favourable towards us because we're versing a lot of the bottom 8 teams in that first 10 rounds." So I looked at it, and I know Roosters is normally a bogey team for us. We don't verse them to round 11. We had a Belmore game in there. We had a bye in there. I knew we did Brisbane up in Suncorp, and we had Brisbane in there. So I said, all right, yeah, I'll throw out a prediction. And so he started running through the names, and then I started just giving my prediction from round 1 to round 10. And lo and behold, we had a laugh about it. But, the first game, okay, we won. Second game, all right, it was the Titans, not a big deal. And then by round 4, when we knocked over Cronulla, it started to look like it's starting to take shape. So, I went back into the studio and, even then by like round 3, they were still saying, "Mate, this guy's lost his marbles. Why is he predicting Bulldogs are going to go anywhere near the top of the table or undefeated for, first 10 rounds?" And they're starting to eat their words. We're not there yet. We've still got 4 games to go and a couple of hard ones. I think this one has always been difficult, the Good Friday, and then Brisbane up in Brisbane's not, never easy, but like they're not laughing as hard as they were when I predicted the start.
And what's interesting? If we win 6 in a row, this will be the best start the Bulldogs have ever had since 1938. And I think I think the only time we went 6 in a row to start the season was, I think, in 1938 maybe. But this will be the best start that we've ever had. And when you think about that, that's pretty insane. Like we went, bro, 2 years ago in 2023, we lost 66-0 to the Knights.
Yeah.
I will never ever forget that.
I'm still laughing.
knows how much I go on about this.
Because off
We
air,
lost
it was
66
livid.
nil.
Even on air, it was pretty. But you had to see him off air.
Bro, I think
it was breaking things.
Mate, this is why we love Elmo. We love the passion as a fan of the podcast, watching you guys. The passion of it. Look, there's 2 things that we love. Can I just give a fan perspective? Since you've been so gracious to bring me on, I want to give you the fan perspective. This is what we see. We see the most passionate Bulldog supporter wearing his heart on his sleeve, Elmo, and then we see the most gracious, lovely St. George supporter speaking so highly about the fans and the team and the club, mate. It's why we keep turning up every week. So we wouldn't have it any other way, Elmo.
Well, I'll tell you now, I wouldn't have Galvin going to a mediocre club like Para. I actually want to see that guy go to a good club, and I think you guys do fit the mold of a good club. The other club I have him going to would be the Roosters, actually. And it's not solely based on the coach. If anything's that club set up, headed by Nick Politis and who he's got at that club. He can do wonders for that guy on and off the field. So, but mate, I really do hope somehow I hope he doesn't end up at Para. I really do. I really hope he doesn't.
So, X Defiant is saying, was I vomiting after the 66-0? I wasn't quite throwing up, but I might as well have been. Bro, I was livid. Honestly, I couldn't understand how my team was so shit. And to be honest, I think about that game a lot because I feel like the repercussions of that game are still sort of being felt by certain people even till now. Like you look at players like Khalid Rajab. I feel like that game ruined his career. he was not in that game. And I think like it's a consequence of a club that's rebuilding, of a club that's down, and a club that's out. But I feel like that game ruined some people's careers in ways that I think you can never ever come back from. I definitely think Khalid Rajab's career was ruined from there. I don't think that Khalid Rajab was. It's not that he was treated wrong by the Bulldogs. It's just a product of the time. But you know, it's just the way the cookie crumbled for him. But he had so much potential. He had the speed, the energy, the vision. It just never
He's
worked
still
out for
around.
him.
He's
He's
not
still
going
around.
anywhere.
He's got a coaching.
still around.
He's got a rugby league coaching center, and you know he's doing well. Thanks for the Newtown Jets and stuff. But you know, that game, I look back and I say it ruined so many people's careers. And I guarantee you that after that game, Gus and Serrado would have sat down and probably just put a red line through so many players. They're like, these are the players that we need to get rid of moving into 2024. Otherwise, we're going to lose 66-0, 70-0.
It reminds me a little bit of the time where Ricky Stewart went to Parramatta, and he just started the whole clean out by getting a whiteboard, getting the players in, and basically saying, if your name's not on this board, you're out. And there was probably 5 names out of the whole top 30, and everyone else just got cleared through. And there was a lot of good players in the ranks, and I feel like maybe Rajab was blooded early or rushed in or pushed in, and he, definitely a victim of
They had no choice, but they were really. I think they ran for a horror injury. Remember the injuries you guys had? It was a horror injury season.
Yeah.
Like you know.
And the other one as well was Carl Olawapu. I feel like, even though that wasn't the potential game, but even if you look back at some of those games that we played, like he only played 6 or 7 games, suffered a neck injury. Apparently, you know, he already had those problems, but the injury exacerbated it, and he may never play again, right? So even before they had moved Carl Olawapu on, I knew that there was no way he was ever going to play for the Doggies again, and that they were looking for the best way to help him manage that situation, which, you know, again, is such a bad situation. But that year and those games that we really got pumped, like it ruined so many people's careers. And that's why I hate that game so much, because I feel like Khalid Rajab was like, he was already a cult hero, having played a couple of games, you know, from the area, one of the boys. We knew him, everybody knew him. We're like, this guy's going to be another one, you know, another Hazem, or, you know, that type of player. And then, you know, his career sort of, you know, unfortunately, you know, goes out the way it does. And, you know, but we lost 66-0 to the Knights team, who right now can't score a point. They're supposed to be better than they were back then. Now they can't. They scored 6 points against the Tigers. The Tigers won 3
left them as
spoons
damaged
in a row.
goods. They were damaged goods after that. And the Tigers put it on them.
Bro, it's just, I don't know. Look, it's very, 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 very satisfying when Lincoln from the Knights, you know, we talk about it, and I tell him, look, I don't think the Knights are going to score against the Bulldogs, and he says, you got no idea. And then he comes back and they're at 0, and I'm like, brother, I'm sorry to have to say it to you, but your team's pretty shit. And Dylan Brown's not going to solve their problem either.
No, they've been
that guy just ruined the whole market. Newcastle, good on Dylan Brown for getting 1.3 million, because John will tell you after, you know, his tax rate, he's probably only left with about, say, 700,000 or 650, because they get taxed about 47%. You know, so don't think 1.3 is taking home, you know, about.
No, but don't they? But don't they? John, you're an accountant. You should be able to tell us this. Do you know if they get paid as employees, like wages, or as contractors?
Yeah, so look, they break up their payments in a bunch of ways. Like there's the third-party payments, the sponsorship payments. Some of them have companies, some of them have ABNs, but it's something.
Still getting slaughtered.
You still get slaughtered because there's a term in tax legislation called PSI, personal services income. So when they're actually earning the income for their own exertion, they can't just split it and put some money in their wife's name and their kid's name and blah, blah, blah. Also, but what they do have as professional athletes is something called income averaging. So let's say you have a good year where you're making 1.2 million, then the next 3 years you make 250 grand because you turn into a flop. Then you can basically average out the income over 5 years, because that's the nature of a player's income is not necessarily stable. So they do get some sort of benefit to being a player and a tax break. But generally, yes, for 10, 12 years, they pay a whole lot of tax. The money they do get, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, I do see they don't spend it wisely. Some of these players, unfortunately, and then they end up post-career struggling to rub, you know, two pieces, you know, 2 5-cent coins together. So then there is, you know, it's a big pay packet to start, and then what happens after the career, you know, all sorts.
Wow, that's so interesting because I've always wondered, like, you know, because it says they've got a contract, so to speak, and you know, do they get paid as contractors? Do they get paid? So it's interesting to see that you know, players are also you know, they sort of suffer as well in terms of how they go about doing all their stuff, which is, you know, it's so interesting. I really appreciate that insight. It's great to have someone like John
Oh,
Lockwood can
100%,
explain it to us like we're five.
Yeah, no, mate, it's it.
Yeah, but yeah, Newcastle ruined the whole
Sorry, go
market,
ahead.
honestly, with yeah, yeah, good on him. He's getting a max, which is what you want as a player. But I mean, I still can't fathom them paying him 1.3 million. Like he's more like.
I don't blame him at
No,
all.
no, I'm
I think
happy
the Knights
for him.
are
I'm just
stupid and
saying
desperate.
Newcastle probably paid
It's a
double
desperate
what the
move.
player's worth. Well, they're gonna.
It's a very desperate move, and to be honest, I don't know if Adam O'Brien's even going to last the year. Like, you know, Zatar will often say, Adam O'Brien's one of the worst coaches that we've got at the moment, and for a long time. Like,
Yeah,
when you
Adam
have
O'Brien.
the attacking
Yeah.
player, look, you've got Fletcher Sharp, you've got Kalen Ponga, you've got Best, you've got, you know, Kai Peace Paul, you've got Leo Thompson. Like, your base team is still really, really good, and you can only score 2 tries in 4 games of footy or 3 games of footy, whatever it is. Bro, that's a coaching problem, not a staff problem, not a player problem. I genuinely feel like they're making all these decisions, and Adam O'Brien's not gonna be there. But anyway, this is about the Dogs and the Rabbitohs, right? So what we're gonna do is let's just run through very quickly the team for the Dogs and the Rabbitohs, and sort of talk a little bit about how we see the lineup happening and how it's all going to work. Sorry, one sec. It doesn't seem to want to load. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, boys. So, BURTON's back.
So exciting.
Sirtili Tupoununia's back. What a team. What a team. And, you know, like, we've still got Hayes there. I mean, you know, Kickout's on the bench, you know, in the extended bench. What a team! What an amazing team.
I think looking at number 5, Marcelo Montoya, I like to give a shout out to Marcelo. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but every time we used to verse him after he left us in that first stint, I thought he brought passion and aggression to the Warriors, and him coming back every run is intent, and like I'm really enjoying him play. I know there's some question marks over some elements of, like, you know, he's, you know, rocks and diamonds or can make mistakes, but from what I'm seeing, I think
It's solid.
He's really fitting into the culture really well. So I'm loving seeing him line up in the blue and white once again.
Absolutely. And look, to be honest, bro, this year I've been so wrong. Like I remember saying, you know, Hayes that won't make the cut in our team. I remember saying, you know, Marcelo Montoya is probably just a backup, and my starting wingers will be Kiraz and Wilson. You know, and I've been so wrong. Like, just to see how Marcelo Montoya is playing, and I think he's averaging at about 180 meters a game, which is absolutely insane. If you look, the Fox was amazing, right? The Fox was incredible. But as our style of play, the Fox is only averaging about 100 meters a game, right? Kiraz comes back, you know, after 5 weeks out, whatever, runs 180, 87, 188 meters. Unbelievable. And not just that, he looked like he got like 8 offloads in that game. Felt like he wanted to pass the ball every single time. Felt like he was absolutely burning. And just on that, I want to call out an absolute clown in our comments who's talking about BURTON playing center. Can you believe in 2025, after everything BURTON has done?
I'll be nice.
At 6,
you know, he's a newbie.
We still have people saying that BURTON should play center. Honestly, some people, you know what they need? Some people need to watch the game with like guide dogs, so that these guide dogs can explain to them what the game is or what's happening on the field, because it's just amazing. Just like, I can't believe people are still calling out, you know, BURTON playing at center. It just doesn't make any sense.
Can I say, look, the merit I give to that comment is the effort of Bailey Hayward and how well he done coming in. Like, I don't look at it as a disservice. You know, obviously no one's going to take BURTON's position, but I was so impressed watching Hayward sit in that 6 jumper. And you know who he reminded me of sitting around there is a former 5'8" who took us to the grand final, Chris Keating. He's got that same look.
Oh,
He has that, and he's good around the ruck. He's good at a scoot out of dummy half. So look, he's not going to be taking Matt Burton's place anytime soon. But something has to be said. Why is Ciro kept Hayward in the squad week in, week out, even though he hasn't been in that jumper? His Bulldogs DNA, and he's a great player. And I love seeing him that he's still, sitting there on the bench for this week.
And Hayward's amazing, and I take your point 100%. I think Hayward has done a great job, but I still think the balance of this team is still not at 100%. I feel like you can't have Jamin Salmon, Kurtman, and Bailey Hayward in the team.
But would you keep? I could see Salmon dropping out, but I think Hayward's valuable to have around. They bring a different thing. Salmon's obviously a bigger body and maybe a bit better in defence. But Ciro sees something in Hayward, and he just keeps putting him in the squad, even though he doesn't. No one else would typically keep him in there. But pretty much all of last year, he just kept putting him back in, and then it wasn't until he got the 6 on his back and he started running around, and he carried the weight of the team in Burton's absence. Obviously with Sexton, he did great. That I thought, okay, I can see now what Ciro sees in him, where he's going to fit in long term. That's something that still needs to play out.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like if you have both Kurtman and Bailey Hayward there, you can't have the Jamin Salmon there. It just doesn't make sense that you have 3 like smaller forwards. I know that the whole idea behind it, but I feel like if you had let's say for example, Kickout comes in, right? If Kickout comes in and you drop like Jack Todd, you've got Kurtman, Jamin Salmon, Bailey Hayward on the bench, and only Sitili Tupounua as a middle.
And Sitili Tupounua is a smaller forward, even though he's an enforcer. He's not a big body, in my opinion.
No, he's a big body, but he plays on the edge, and he's always played on the edge. Like he's played at center for the Roosters, so he's not a direct proper replacement, right? So it doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are saying, Daniel Saluka for feeder to drop out, Curran to go to prop, kick out to come in. Honestly, I reckon Daniel Saluka for feeder has been very solid for us. I think he's been very, very solid for us, and I think what happens is Josh Curran will go to the bench, Jack Todd will drop off. Kick out, come into the starting side.
Yep.
Is sort of what I see happening. I'd love to see Kurt Mann starting in place of Jamin Salmon. But to be honest, the other thing is why I'm not complaining too much is because it's working and the coach knows what he's doing. And it's like, bro, just keep winning.
The logic doesn't stack up. But something has to be said for basically the virtues of the players and the culture they bring. So the Bulldogs have built the reputation of the last 18 months on process, culture, hard work, defining them. It's harder for us as spectators to sit back and say, based on ability alone, this player fits into the squad and this one doesn't, because what was proven to us in the previous weeks with these like almost no-name Bulldogs teams, with the absence of obviously Kiraz, Kickout, Burton, Sam Hughes, these guys beating a team like the Sharks, is that the coach is interested in players that bring the right attitude to the games. And if he's gonna obviously Jack Todd, great addition. That try he scored, in the last 2 weeks ago, and the enthusiasm he showed when he jumped up and him and Preston were celebrating. Great attitude, great player. If he did drop one of these smaller guys to the bench to bring Kickout in, even if it was Bailey Hayward, I totally understand. And look, we ran the whole course of 18 months now pretty much being the side carrying too many utilities. But if we do need to transfer into a game where we're bringing some big boppers into the pack just to stay with some of those better teams, because let's be honest, when we versed Manly in the finals last year, we got ran over a little bit with some of their bigger forwards. I was there at the game, like Olawatu was like very hard to control, and some bigger bodies would add a benefit.
100%. And to be honest, we have them. Like, it's not that we don't have the bigger bodies. It's just, Ciraldo's choosing to focus on other, smaller teams. I know we've got the mobile forward pack. I don't know. But look, I look at this team and I think, like Ewan Aitken in the centers, I think that's definitely going to be a point, or like a point where the Bulldogs will target Ewan Aitken. I don't think that number one, he'll be able to defend against Sherry, but I also think Sherry's speed is just going to be too much. If we can do some really good sweeping plays towards our left, I think Sherry's going to absolutely, like, Sherry has a chance here to get a hat-trick. Because I know Ewan Aitken is not a bad player, but he doesn't play center week in, week out. He was out since last year. He's only playing his second game back. I think that's a point of target for us. The other one that I want to point out is, so Sean Kepi might actually not play. So Sean Kepi he did have a grade 2 charge. They are saying that he was guilty, but they're contesting the grading. They want to go from a grade 2 to a grade 1. I don't know if they're going to pass. He may not play, right? Cody Walker. I actually think that it's actually a really bad move to play Cody Walker out because, you know, his hamstring, if 33% chance to re-injure it at a worse level than what it was before. So I feel like this is one of those games where it's going to be really telling for both teams how they go. If the Bulldogs come out and put a big score on the Rabbitohs, it could send the Rabbitohs a lot further back than just losing by a try or something like that. Dibbo, what do you think about that?
Just rephrase the question again about.
Like, this is one of those games where it has a lot of waiting for the Rabbitohs. If they get smashed by the Bulldogs, it can really affect their season.
I think you guys will. You know what? Like, look at their lineup. It's still a really good lineup. Well, I think you guys will get them in the forwards. They got actually solid backline still. They actually got a really solid backline. Like, I know Campbell Graham may still be underdone, but before he injured himself, he was almost a shoo-in, or pretty much a shoo-in into that New South. He was going to fit in somewhere in that New South Wales team. Jack Whiten, we all know, is world class. Jai Grace setting the world on fire. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah. Isaiah Tass. I rate Isaiah Tass. He's actually a Bulldogs
but you've already touched on where their weakness might be. Ewan Aitken and Isaiah Tass, he's obviously not, he's good, but I mean, he can, it's just a red hot Bulldogs backline at the moment. Look, Latrell, you got Latrell there and Cody Walker. And if Lewis Dodd comes on, I think Latrell will probably slot into the centres. It's gonna be a nice watch in the backline. Like, and then look at their forward pack: Tatola, Kalamatangi, Jai Arrow, Hubner. That Hubner guy's hit the ground running. He's still like a rookie, but he's hitting the ground running. Your bench,
I think
your bench shakes theirs. They got like Dallas Duncan playing well this year, but Wiley's doing all right. But I think your bench, and I think Kickow will come into the 17. So somebody will get pulled out there. I've got a feeling it might be Bailey Hayward because he's got Kurt Mann on the bench already.
I think you may be right, but you know what? I reckon their weakness is in the forwards is Peter Mamazula.
Yeah, I don't.
He's not a bad player.
I just think he gets shaded.
He's still very young.
Kepi and Mamazoulis, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but I think they'll get shaded by their opponents. I think you guys would just be too strong in the forwards. That's where
Elmo, can I ask you? Jai Gray seems to be leading the Daily M list. What's your thoughts on Jai Gray?
Interestingly, before Jai Gray debuted, Dibbo and I actually went out to Cogra there at Strata Jubilee, and we actually watched him
We actually mentioned him on the podcast
against the
if
Dragons.
we were to find that episode.
And we mentioned him on the podcast that first week last year.
And we said he was by far the best player on the field.
Bro, there were first graders playing from the Dragons,
a lot of them.
Against that Rabbitohs team, and he outshone every single one of them. It reminds me a lot of Blake Taff when he first sort of came in and was playing fullback. Like, such a similar style of play, quick, energetic, can play the ball, never say die attitude. The only difference here is that it seems like Jai Gray has been given a chance this time to continue to play in first grade. And bro, if he continues this way, even if Latrell goes back to fullback, Jai Gray will be somewhere in the first grade team, or he'll get snapped up by someone else. He is so good. He is.
Man, I 100% agree with you. I've been watching you, man. I've been impressed. But this is another Wayne Bennett factor. I would think it's what has Latrell Mitchell coming into the 5'8" position. What one opinion, or my opinion on it is, he's obviously looking a bit fitter. I'm not sure if you guys would agree. A little bit fitter this year. Watching him
100%.
last year at the Good Friday, he was very lazy in the defense, very lazy sweeping across. I feel like he's forced to go up a gear this year. Now, if we can actually, the Bulldogs, if we can stick it to him, because he's the bully and he's part of one of the enforcers in their team. If we can stick it to him the way we did to AFB versus Cronulla, and give him
100%.
no options, we'll slowly strangle and break the resolve of their team. But it's really like we have to go early against their big guns, strangle them, win the forward battle, and teach them that, show them that we're there to actually play the 80 minutes. If we can get over that mental hurdle and prove to them that we've got more resolve, then we've got a chance at racking up a score. If we let them run around and Latrell Mitchell do his thing, then anything could happen.
Yeah, I think he's the linchpin to everything that's going to happen. But I also think we can't underestimate what Cody Walker can do if he's not playing on one leg. But like I agree, if we shut down Latrell Mitchell, what it does is it kills the confidence of the rest of the team. So you remember, like, if you look at even against the Cowboys last week, I felt like they were in the fight because Latrell Mitchell was throwing such a great pass maybe to his center, or he was taking a run and making a break, and the Cowboys were like, oh crap, the Rabbitohs are coming back, and they sort of kept in it, because I felt like the Cowboys couldn't put a lid on what Latrell was doing consistently enough. But I also think like they didn't defend as well as they should have against the Rabbitohs. Whereas if we come out with that blue-white rock wall, I honestly reckon that they will struggle to even score one try. If we come in and show up with our defensive attitude, like, they will struggle to score points. I know they've got White and they've got Walker, they've got Latrell, but nothing the Rabbitohs have done this year at all convinces me that they're anything more than making up the numbers in the top 8 in the first maybe 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Anytime any real pressure is applied to them, they sort of buckle. Like, we look at the Sharks, they had no response to the Sharks. They had literally zero response to the Sharks. And that's not because the Sharks weren't necessarily amazing. It's because the forwards of the Sharks had a good game and the backs were just so quick. The backs were so quick. And one thing about the Bulldogs is we're very quick. Not only attack, not only defense, just everything about us is quick and we're always moving. Like, I was comparing our game against I was comparing how we play against the Knights compared to how, for example, the Tigers were facing the Knights. And sure, the Tigers did a great job against the Knights, but one of the things I realized about us is our whole team is always moving, both in attack and defense. You never see like a bunch of players just standing there, not moving, or no planning happening, or no shape there. There's always shape, even in our own 20 or 30. Whereas you look at some other teams, they don't have that. And in defense, no one moves like the Bulldogs move. And so I think, like, if we are able to keep that energy, which I think we will, I think that they'll struggle. They will absolutely struggle to score any points against us. Some people are saying that Latrell Mitchell will buckle under pressure, things like that. I think it's not that he buckles under pressure. It's like he can't do it on his own. He will try to do it on his own. As B Massive is saying, Latrell Mitchell buckles. And Zata's response is he literally doesn't. I don't think Latrell buckles under pressure. I just think that he maybe tries too hard and something doesn't come off. But, people talk about, oh, he's lazy, he's this, is that. I've never understood that. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Latrell's actually lazy? Like, I remember games where the Rabbitohs were losing, and the only person putting in an effort was Latrell Mitchell.
Yeah, I don't think he's lazy. I think he just needs to be smarter on the workload he takes, like when to inject himself and when not to inject himself. He needs to make smarter decisions, I feel.
Look, if I'm going to say he's lazy, it's not that he won't inject himself when he needs to. In my opinion, what I would see as lazy would be his off the ball work in defence, and it's not something I ever noticed on TV. It was more something I noticed when I watched him playing on field. Like, you can be a fullback that's positioning yourself a lot earlier or a lot later, and you can't tell on TV when there's a fullback that isn't moving, and racking up as many Ks as they should. So I I did think there was times in his career where, yes, he was lazy, but he's one of those passion players. And when he has to turn up and he's passionate about a game, he'll put in 110%. But it just depends if you're going to get the Latrell Mitchell that really cares that day or not.
I like it when he's got a player that takes on the line and he feeds off him, or a dominant player. Like if you saw, there was glimpses of it last week, Jai Gray.
Yep.
And Latrell seemed to combine well with him, or feed off him well, or even, feed him basically. He needs those sort of players, those game breaker players, because that's when I feel like he's at his best. And he had a lot of them at the Roosters.
Actually, one thing that I did realize last week that the Roosters did very well against the Broncos was they matched up Billy Smith on Reece Walsh multiple times. So they put, Savala, playing his second game or whatever, unbelievable performance, putting the ball up in the air for Billy Smith and targeting Reece Walsh. It was brilliant, and it paid off dividends for them. And I hope the Bulldogs, I hope Burton and Sexton sort of employ the same tactic with Critter and Kiraz up against Jai Gray, because I actually think this will pay dividends for us. Jai Gray's a man. I'm not here to say Jai Gray's bad or anything like that, but if you target him with some taller players that can put pressure on him, we'll either get a try out of it, or he's going to lose the ball, or we can drag him back. Like, it's going to be a win-win situation. And so I think that'll be one of the ways that we're going to put Jai Gray off his game, is they're going to be targeting him with some really high bombs, with Kiraz, Crichton, and even Sherry just running up and putting pressure on him, trying to absolutely wipe him out. I think that'd be a great tactic to utilize, and I actually think that could be a way that we put Jai Gray completely off his game and keep him in the back. Because the thing about Jai Gray as well is he's only good. Again, I think he's fantastic, but I feel like he's only good, or primarily good, in broken play. Against a structured defense, Jai Gray can't weave his magic. Yeah, what do you guys think? Is that a fair sort of assessment?
Well, I'll let you go, but anyway.
Well, look, yeah, I agree. I think he's still got a bit of development to go. I like what you said, Elmo, about Reece Walsh under pressure from the Roosters kicking game. Savala, he actually, I heard Cheese on podcast with Graham saying he texted him after the game to say, well done. Like, he actually was really struggling under some of those kicks he put up. So yeah, you identified that well. And Reece Walsh really struggled. Another thing, I misspoke earlier when I was saying Rabbits won last week. They lost last week. I was speaking about the week before against the Roosters, where they actually got up. Latrell had a really good game and he turned up. But yeah, last week their attack against and defense against the Cowboys left a lot to be wanting, and it really gave me confidence about coming into this week.
Yeah, like when I saw that game against the Cowboys, I was like, if they play anywhere near this bad, they're gonna be in for a very, very rough time against the Dogs. I know I'm cocky, and you know what? Screw you guys. I'm gonna be cocky. Screw you, non-Bulldog supporters. I'm gonna be cocky. If they play like that against the Bulldogs, they will get absolutely.
Okay, Elmo, I don't want to rain on your parade, but I have to sound this out, and I need your opinion. And Dib, I need your opinion as well, since I'm on. The Bulldogs got Travis Toomey in the conditioning team, and he's working really hard to get the guys fit. A lot of preseason work. I mean, that's great, but we saw it back at the Roosters where they got a lot of injuries when Travis Toomey was around. They did a lot of ACLs and things. Sometimes there was a game where two guys did an ACL in one game, and then we had kick out. Yeah, I know they're winning titles, but sometimes they say the conditioning is over conditioning. Then we had Kikau and Burto both do a knee and MCL in one game.
But
on the Bulldogs turf in Belmore. Yeah, Dibbo.
Yeah, but before he joined, the injury toll was horrible and the fitness was shocking.
Yeah.
I love it. Injuries regardless. I think it's a step forward.
It is a step forward, but this is something I noticed last year, and I wonder if it will be replicated again this year. This is what I really want to know. If we've got super conditioning, and like we've already said, the guys do a lot of work. Like, their line speed is fast. They're always moving. There's always something happening. They're expending a lot of energy. So therefore, their fitness has to be at a higher level than the other teams coming into the comp. But what I think naturally happens as the season wears on is the other teams catch up in conditioning to us. So we might go in with a lot of pre-season conditioning work, fitness. We're ready for that fast line speed. We're ready to do extra work to have that defensive system that, you know, Serraldo's done so well to have. But as you get to the later rounds, the other teams, because I played 10 years of rugby league myself, junior rugby league, I noticed that your natural match fitness increases as the season goes on, and then you start to level out in fitness as you approach the finals. Do you think this year we will struggle as we approach the finals again as we did last year, when that superb fitness level and system, you know, doesn't seem to pay the same amount of dividends as it does at the beginning of the year?
What I've looked at, so I think he's get another 2 buys in the middle of the season around State of Origin time. Is that right? I think when I was looking at the draw.
No, so we've got another buy in like 4 weeks, and then we've got a buy around 16.
Which is not bad.
It's weird.
Yeah,
we've got our
perfect.
buys.
That's good. It breaks it up, gives a nice. But then if they're smart with their rotation system, where they start resting players, you know, like 1 week, you know, maybe once every 4 weeks, one player won't play. You know, if they're smart with their rotation system, there's a lot of capable players. I mean, look at your 18 to 22. Like Viliami Kikau's not even in there. Blake Wilson's, you know, Blake Taff, Jake Turpin, Lipo Hopoy. There's other names missing from there, like Sam Hughes
Harry
and
Hayes, Jack Underhill, Sam
you.
Hughes. We've got Inari Tuala.
Those boys
like,
all play half a dozen games minimum. That's what you want from each. About half a dozen games minimum. If they're smart, you got to be smarter with the rotation. You got a squad there. You got to use it. If you don't use it, John, you're on the money. You're going to start plateauing, and you know the body's going to start feeling tired and wanting the season to end. I remember those feels. You know, you'd want you know, you either just bring on the finals, or you're really feeling it, but you're pushing yourself week in, week out. You know.
What I want to say about last year, and look, I agree. Travis Tuma is very, very intense. Travis Tuma pushes them very, 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 very harshly to become, you know, take them out. I remember James Graham was saying this is how he sort of looks at Travis Tuma. Is like he's a type of trainer that will take you out into the depths of the ocean, and you will not know how to come back. Like he will take you out there and teach you how to survive in the depths of the ocean. So what I like to always look at is the Panthers. I think the Panthers have played this up high intensity, you know, really fast game for 5 years. For 5 years, they've played this type of game, and they've been resoundingly successful at it, and haven't been too bad when it comes to their injuries, right? The Roosters, on the other hand, I think the Roosters, it's more of a tackling technical problem as opposed to it being a training problem. Now, you're going to laugh. Why do I say that? Why is it that their players are always notorious for copying ACLs or copying head injuries?
Like Victor Radley all the time.
Radley, Boyd Cordner, James Tedesco, Lindsay Collins, who else? There's so many of these players, especially from the Roosters, that always seem to get their heads in the wrong positions or their bodies in the wrong positions. I've made this very clear. I don't think Trent Robinson is a great coach. I don't think Trent Robinson is of the quality of an Ivan Cleary or a Bennett or a Bellamy. I just don't think he's that great. And I think that unless he has 30 internationals in his team, right? Unless he has 30 internationals in his team, he doesn't achieve anything. But I think that it is a tackling technique problem. Zata has mentioned it's also an Allianz Stadium problem, which I think is also a contributing factor. But ultimately, I just think that
I'm so pissed off they won last week.
The Bulldogs, right? The Bulldogs have not worked it out, but I think I'm managing the injuries very well. So, for example, Burton could have come back, you know, the week against the Knights. They're like, nah, we don't need you. We believe in our team. Let's stay there. And they're building a strong top 30, right? And Gus Gould has said on his podcast that we're going to see another 2 or 3 more debutants come into the team. I'm sure Jack Underhill is going to get a chance. Jethro, sorry, I remember his name. The Fijian winger should get a chance. Yeah. There's going to be a few more debutants that come through that continue to build out that top 30. And so I think like we're going to be okay as long as our call
Yeah.
remains.
I think we're going to be challenged as
Right.
well throughout the Origin season. There's the rumours of Kurt Mann, Jacob Preston, Kiraz, all playing, Burton maybe. So
Reed Marnie.
Reed Marnie. So I guess as if we stay near the top of the table, we can expect more challenges to our roster through representative footy and injury.
I mean, that's a mad blessing to have, because then let's say Burton's gone, Hayward slots into 6. We know he can do a job. If Preston's gone, we can bring Todd, we can bring Hayes, we got Salmon, we got TUPOUNUIA, we got Kickout. Like Kiraz goes, we've got Wilson ready to go. We've got Inari Tuala, should be back in a couple of weeks. So like the only real weakness that we have, I think, in our team, if something goes wrong, is the fullback position. That's Connor Tracy. Sure, we've got Blake Taff. Sure, we've got Wilson that can fill in there. Sure, we've got Kiraz that can fill in there. But I don't think we have like an almost like-for-like replacement to Tracy. I don't think like anyone understands how much Connor Tracy does for the team. Like Connor Tracy is freaking unbelievable. He's just on another level. Like Connor Tracy is amazing. But yeah, overall, like I think, and last year as well, I feel like the boys, their whole goal, like their whole season was built on, we need to make the top 8. We need to make the top 8. I think that's as soon as they said to themselves, we know we've made the finals, it's like they let their hair down. And you can tell, because when they came back in the finals and versed Manly, sure, we didn't win, but we weren't bad. We could have won that game. It was inexperience that lost that game for us. So I actually think this year the team is now building to say, no, we're going to make, like, their aim is not top 8. Their aim is prelim or grand final. I think the aim is different this year as well. The team's looking a lot further ahead than just let's break the duck. And
in
make
terms
the
of
top 8.
depth now, Stephen Crichton's playing with a pinched nerve, playing injured, and there's been some rumours that during Origin period they might rest him, sort that out, or he won't play Origin. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Listen, if Laurie Daly doesn't choose Stephen Crichton in his team, Laurie Daly is a mod.
Trust me, I'm not. But once he names his line, I'm not even going to be surprised who he chooses. This is a guy that bottled it 4 out of 5 seasons. Remember?
Yeah,
he's going to bottle it. This guy.
I think if he doesn't choose Crichton, there's a problem there, because I think like our centers would be Crichton and Trell Mitt. Has to be. I don't think there's any other
option. What about
Lomax?
Where do you put Lomax, wing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think he's injured too. He won't make Origin 1 anyway. Yeah, and then To'o's still injured too, so it's not like To'o's got had much time. Even though like you can't not choose To'o or Lomax. Like if they choose Lomax over Kiraz, I would understand that selection. Like you can't be angry. Lomax is a freak and he played so well for the Blues. But I do think it's Kiraz's time. I think that if Lomax or To'o aren't available, the next in has to be Kiraz. So all right, guys, Rabbitohs versus Bulldogs. I want 2 predictions from you guys: crowd and final score. I'll start with Dib because he's a non-Bulldog.
I'm going to go 73,000 fans, and I'm going to go the Dogs 24-14.
All right, I'm going to jump in. Say that's pretty
Raining.
good. I'll say 68,500 for the crowd, and Bulldogs to win 18 points to 6.
Geez, very conservative.
Interesting.
I'm waiting for Abdul to say like 42-4 or something. It's probably more deserving, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's wet,
guys,
and it's anyways big occasion.
In the comments, what do you guys think of? What are your predictions for crowd and for score? My crowd prediction. I think we're going to get to 71,000.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think it's going to be 71,300. The $10 tickets are going to do it. That's what I think is going to happen. If
honestly,
$10 tickets that are going to bring in so many more.
That should be a precedent.
What
approved because of every game.
100%. Bro, can you imagine if 10 families in GA, like
50,000, Allianz
AFL
Arena,
would be like,
they're
what the
going
hell's
to do
going on? It would be insane.
You'd fill it out.
At $10 tickets, I think it'll crack the 70,000. I think that the score's going to be 38-10 to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
So is the record regular season crowd 59,000? Is that what you guys have seen?
Yeah, 59,000, 2013 Roosters against Rabbitohs.
Yeah, Good Friday as well. 59,708, 2013. Yep. So we might be, if we're going to be there, I'll be there if anyone wants to try to spot me out amongst the 70,000, but we might be making history.
I think
I
you
think
and
we will
Elmo
be
should
making
get together
history.
that day.
So we will be at the stadium as well. We're going to be there earlier, about 2:30, outside the front, recording. What we're going to start doing every week that we can. We're going to be calling it the Kennel Fan TV. So we're going to have a camera with a on a tripod with a microphone, and just asking questions, taking predictions, asking some questions about the footy, about the Bulldogs and things like that. So. What I'll do is I'll put up a post on our socials the morning of, or as soon as I get to the stadium, to let you guys know where I am. Please, please, if you guys are at the stadium, come see us. We'll be there. We want to shoot you guys. We want to ask you some questions. We want to get you guys on the Kennel Fan TV. So if you are going to the game, hit us up. And I'll hit up our socials on Facebook and Insta and Twitter. I'll put all that details up so that you guys can come and record some content with us and just have a bit of a chat and sort of start the celebrations early, because it's going to be 70,000 crowd and the Dogs are going to have a party. The Dogs are going to have a big party.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, the boys. All right.
Where's the party at?
All right. So here's where the party's at. I want to talk about Lockie Galvin. I need to talk about Lockie Galvin. Right? Now, I want you guys' opinion. Yeah? I want your opinion. Guys, hit it out in the comments. I think the Tigers did exactly what they needed to do. They made the right move. I'm glad Luai, Terrell May, the leadership boys took a stand and said, nah, this guy doesn't respect you, doesn't respect the team. He's out. I actually think it's been such a long time since the Tigers have been able to dictate terms and had a leadership group that can take a stand. Nothing against Galvin, but I'm just so happy that the Tigers did that.
I 100% agree. I believe the team culture and the club culture is, more important than any one individual. So the fact that the leaders, the actual real leaders of the team, stood up and said something, just goes to show that if the playing group is coming up and saying we're not for it, and you know what? Good on them. Good on them for not letting stupid politics and player-manager antics get in the way 100%. Of the club and the team.
And to be honest, this guy, I know people will disagree, but, I remember when Benji was copping heat for blooding an 18-year-old, but he said, I saw a lot in him. I saw things in him that, he's a special kid. He blooded him. He gave him an opportunity. He stood by him. He did a great job. And Lockie Galvin repays him by saying, I don't think I can develop my future. And, if the reports are correct that he's going to Para, right? What an absolute joke. If he goes to Para to play under Riles because he thinks he's better than Benji, this is full of shit. And that it's an Isaac Moses agenda. Because you can't tell me that Riles is proving himself to be a better coach, for Galvin's development than Benji is. It doesn't make any logical sense. It's complete bullshit. And that's why, when they come out and say, this is all about my development, it's please, bro, you want to go, but don't try and gaslight the whole freaking NRL community with your bullshit. That's genuinely the way I look at it. Am I being a bit harsh here?
To be honest, I think they've avoided a bullet. Just want to say, a $6 million contract or $6 million over however many years.
All right, Galvin.
You say he's worth every dollar, Dibbo?
I reckon he's going to be huge. The way he started 18 years old last year, and he was just, wow. He was a dominant player on the field. It's like playing Haas at 18, 19. For his position, he was a dominant player on the field. And he's drawn comparisons in the past to players such as Brad Fittler, like Bradley Clyde, who was at the same age, just slotted straight in as well. I remember when he was a young lock, dominant player on the field. Tigers can't seem to get anything right. The culture can't seem to be right. That's all right. The players, they got their players there. I just feel like Tigers are going to be last for the next 15 years, even with the players they signed. There's nothing wrong with what Galvin's done. He's gone out to look for somewhere he's comfortable. Same thing as Zach Lomax has done. Everyone seemed to be happy for Zach Lomax to go find something good for him. So I don't know why that same energy isn't for someone like Galvin. Second year of his career, and he's really looking for greener pastures.
I thought what Lomax did was pretty stupid. I never understood it. And you know what? The team's coming last. And you know what?
No, that's all right. But I'm just saying, that's all right.
Honestly, I'm not a Dragons fan. But I'm not. He still didn't explain why he did what he did.
Look, he wasn't. That's it. He did a good 6-7 years there. He wanted to change. He just, felt like he didn't fit in with him. Fair enough. It's the same thing with Galvin. It's something Galvin's not agreeing with. You know, so I don't know why people like Lomax and Ben Hunt get told, you know, get egged on and the club should release them and the club should stop standing in there. Well, hang on a sec. Galvin's situation's pretty much the same thing. He wants to go elsewhere. That's it. He wants to go elsewhere. I don't see him staying beyond this season because they've already, turfed him into reserve grade, which I think he'll probably score 10 tries.
Well, he's been dropped, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. For the Western
Galvin's
suburbs.
Been dropped.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. I don't see him staying beyond this year. Yeah, that's all right. Like, I reckon Lockie Galvin's going to be he's a franchise player. That's what, in my opinion, anyway. He was going to be the franchise player for the West Tigers. Somehow they've bottled that. I don't think Benji Marshall's an out-and-out coach. I think he's just too holistic with his approach. What was that? Sorry?
I don't blame the Tigers for that one. Sorry, you were going to say something, John?
I was just going to say, what is with the trend now all of a sudden with players coming out and rather than saying I've signed with this club or that club, just saying I'm not going to be signing with the club I'm at. Yeah. And now DCE did that, and now Galvin's did. Like, why are they just ruling out the club they're at? Historically, I just remember people would sign with a new club, and then the assumption is they're leaving the club they're at. Now they haven't signed anywhere, and they're just saying, "Hey, I'm not signing here." Why do you think that trend's emerging?
It's because there's
a few bidders on the market that tells me
the bullshit laws that they've got, so you can't sign with another. You can only sign with another club 12 months before. Right, so you already know that you don't want to be there in 18 months' time, but you can't. Like, he can't come out and say, "Hey, I've signed a deal with the Eels for 2027," because that's illegal. That's not allowed, right?
You know what?
Not allowed. So what he says is, "I'm not going to be here in 2027." Doesn't say where he's going, even though he's probably signed a contract with the Eels. Like Paul Kent was saying, according to his inside resources, the deal with the Eels is almost done. They just can't come out and make it public.
Yeah.
Which
I hope he doesn't go to the Eels, man. I
actually don't think so.
That club seems to get to sign everyone and do fuck all.
Yeah. I can tell you guys.
They sit at the bottom for about a decade or so and get no one.
I can tell you guys, the Bulldogs will make a strong attempt to sign Lachlan Galvin. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he's coming to the Dogs. I'm saying that I can guarantee you the Bulldogs will make a big attempt to sign Lachlan Galvin. Where they play 6, where they play 7, where they play 13, Gus Gould rates him too highly not to have an attempt. Like I know that they had an attempt at DCE, and then they realized, no, this guy, he's too old. He doesn't fit what we're trying to build. We're not looking for quick success. We're looking for long-term success. Doesn't fit the mold. Ben Hunt, the exact same. In fact, Ben Hunt came to the Dogs, and the Dogs were like, "Nah, sorry, we don't want you. We're not looking for quick success." But a young guy like Galvin, who's only 19, who can come and play under Cameron Ciraldo with a team that is on the way up, that is on the improve. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense that this could work and that the Bulldogs would be willing to throw a decent amount of money at Lachlan Galvin, and we have the money. If it's development that he wants, you go to 3 coaches. You go to Bennett, you go to Bellamy, or you're going to go to Ivan Cleary, right? Because they could be, I think, a dark horse in this, Panthers. But where else can you go if you don't want to go to those big 3 that have established halves and 5/8? You go to Cameron Ciraldo. Which other young coach in the competition at the moment would you want to go to if it's genuinely about development? It'll be the Bulldogs.
It would be a great choice for him and his management. But historically, Moses and Gould don't necessarily get on too well. So there'll be that hurdle to get over. And then also the hurdle of having Mitch Woods coming through and Hayward and the fact that we've got Berto at 6 and he's pretty much cemented his spot. So, look, good players, you find somewhere for them in your pack.
100%.
But there's some hurdles to get over to make that happen. If he was wearing blue and white, we would all get on board, wouldn't we?
Oh, bro, how do you complain having one of the best, like Gus Gould, and like I trust Gus Gould's judgment as much as, you know, he's obviously needs to bend the rules and bend the truth so that you know, he doesn't expose, you know, what his plans are. But you know, Gus Gould thinks that he's the best young player he's ever seen at that age. Like you can't take that lightly from someone like Gus Gould.
Yeah.
Right? You can't take that lightly. And he even said, he's like, never did we imagine that he would be off contract and that he would be up. So what's that mean? It's like, let's figure out how we can get this guy on our books and how we can bring him in. We have the salary cap space. We still have players off contract for next year, so we can bring him in.
We haven't had a really strong like marquee half since, I don't know who you want to say. I mean, Hodgkinson, maybe not even earlier than that. I can't remember the last time we had someone in a solid 6 or 7. I mean, I know in 2014 we had the halves for the Blues and we went to the grand final. Probably since then there hasn't been anything since 2014.
Timoy Jimoy is saying he's going to Para. Paul Kent leaked it today. Not sure.
Good news. Hopefully it doesn't happen then. That's good. More news not to
Yeah, I
happen.
mean, you know, there's so many players that we said we weren't going to sign. We ended up signing. Like Eddie Abs is mentioning, you know, we said we weren't really going after Leo Thompson, but we did.
Good
Said we
one,
weren't going
Eddie Abs.
after Terrell May, but we did. You know, there was a lot of players that we weren't going after. We did. And so to be honest, like, it's not that I'm saying that Gus Gould's a liar. I'm just saying that the nature of the business means that you have to keep your cards close to your chest. And you know, there is a rumor that the Bulldogs are going after him. And when I heard it, right, I was like, okay, does this make sense? Gus loves him. They haven't re-signed Sexton yet. Doesn't look like he's going to be there past this year. Does his rumor have any weight to it? And I heard it a few times. And then DIBBO also heard the rumor from a very reliable
The Bucks report.
source. Yeah, and then I was like, hang on a sec. This makes sense. And so, you know, I think a lot of clubs will be stupid if they have the salary cap not to go for it. And one club I have to call out, sorry, I have to call this out, that is absolutely the dumbest club in the NRL by far, has to be the Knights. If they waited 2 months, they could have given Lockie Galvin $1 million over 5 years, 1.5 million for over 5 years, and you could have had Ponga and Galvin playing in your spine. But they went and, you know, they jumped on the Brown bandwagon, and I feel like they've shot themselves and the rest of the competition in the foot.
We're sucked into them.
100%. 100%. They deserve no grace. Like, I'm being serious. Because, like, the decision doesn't make sense. They offered someone like Brown 10 years. Bro, they can't score points. I don't think Brown comes in there and they automatically score 30 points.
No.
It doesn't happen that way. So, look, if we do get him, I see that in 4 years' time, our halves will be Mitch Woods and Lockie Galvin. Or you have Lockie Galvin at lock, and then you have Burton and Woods as our halves. Like, that is a you know, generational spine. Right? I don't know if Miney's even going to be our 9. I don't know. Allahu Alam. But what a lineup we're building with the props that we've got, the outside backs that we've got, the fullback. You know, there's so much happening, and it's very, very exciting. Being a Doggies fan is so good, especially when we're going to smash the Rabbitohs by such a big margin. Like that. That's what's exciting.
100%.
You know, Tariq Ahmed saying brown paper bags from the Knights. 100%. It's the only way. You know, they're paying so much money. Another one that isn't surprising, but I didn't think would happen so quickly, is Tom Amone was given an immediate release from the Bulldogs.
That must have hurt you. You spent about 6 months talking him up, maybe 9 months. That must have hurt.
Hey, they're freeing up the cap space for Lockie Galvin.
That took some credibility away.
That's why I thought about it. I was like, that's what they're doing. They're getting rid of some space so you can bring Lockie Galvin in. No, but I thought it was it's very disappointing because this guy was touted as you know, the best forward in the UK, and you know, he was going to be one of our saviors. And there's just so much that I thought was going to happen having him start for us, and then he couldn't even get a start in New South Wales Cup. He was on the bench for New South Wales Cup, and I'm just like, bro, what happened to you, cuz?
There's a step up from UK Super League to NRL, and not all players can actually make that step. It's not as easy as one would probably think, and maybe he just wasn't up to scratch as were the rest of the Bulldogs pack.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at, he couldn't even make the starting side of New South Wales Cup. That's a big problem. Like, when you've got Jack Underhill, who's 20 years old, you know, Jack Todd, you've got, you know, all these young guys who are killing it in New South Wales Cup. And then this guy comes in and can't even make the starting team. It's like, bro, like,
really good sign for us. That's the sort of depth. That's when we're winning premierships. That's the type of depth we have. It's 3 teams playing on grand final day. That's when Bulldogs are doing well.
100%. And to see that happen, and to see the level of intensity that we have in our training, and that he couldn't keep up, and that as soon as the Bulldogs identified that, they're like, all right, goodbye. It's sad. It's sad. I really wanted him to do well, but it is what it is. And they made the decision. He wanted out. They wanted him out. Made the decision. Gone.
Yep.
And look, that's great. I think that's great.
What do you make of JT Spencer Leniu, Elmo?
Oh, bro. Oh, my God. Thank you so much for bringing it up. You're a freaking legend. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be so freaking honest. JT needs to shut the fuck up. Sorry,
yeah.
but JT needs to shut up. Because he had nothing to say when Ezra Mam, was driving under the influence, went onto the other side, could have killed a young girl and her mum, right? Could have killed someone. Spencer Leniu, sure, said some stupid shit, but he wasn't putting anyone's lives at risk. And he served his penance. Like, it's not like he didn't serve 8 weeks. He served his penance. That should be good enough for JT, right? And Spencer Leniu was an intense guy. That's the type of person he is.
Yep.
But to carry on about Spencer Leniu, right? He called you a fuckwit.
Yep.
Bro, you did not say a single thing about what Ezra Mam did. You didn't say it wasn't long enough of a punishment. I don't think Ezra Mam should be playing in 2025. He should be suspended for the year. He's lucky he's not getting deregistered. People have been deregistered for less. And he didn't say a single word. Yet Ezra Mam could have killed someone. And I reckon even if he had, JT would have come out and defended Ezra Mam. Oh, poor bloke's got shit going on at home. Oh, why is he abusing drugs? Get out of here, bro.
There is a
Why
double
wouldn't you give the
standard.
same grace to Spencer Leniu?
Spencer Leniu's identified a double standard, and he's taken it personally, and it's hurt him. And he's the type of guy to say something when he's been hurt. And I think it was the fact that JT was coming up to him, trying to do interviews, trying to make it like he hadn't wronged him. I'm just, as a journalist, you want to hide behind, hey, I'm just reporting.
Yeah.
But if you actually come out and give an opinion, and you say, 8 weeks. He should have copped 12 weeks, and then next week you want to turn up and say, hey, mate, how was the game today? Well, I'm sorry, you weren't reporting the facts. You were giving an opinion, and you wanted to see me sidelined for another 4 games. You obviously have a double standard.
100%.
You don't care about me. You don't like me. You hate me because I'm Blues and you're a Queenslander. There's the blue, mate. This is the beginning of the New South Wales-Queensland rivalry a little bit as well. We're entering Origin season early. But, yeah, I think – and then Trent Robinson, because you brought up Trent Robinson earlier. Was it Trent Robinson who backed him up? I think he backed
100%.
him up.
He said they're two men having a chat. Get over it.
And you got to give respect to a coach that backs up his players.
Bro, 100%. And I like in Arabic they say kibir bi'ayuni. Like, honestly, I felt like I respected Robinson so much more as a coach because he stood by Spencer Leniu. Because in that situation, it's a charged situation. JT's an Indigenous legend. Ezra is Indigenous. Spencer Leniu said something that was, unsavory towards, Ezra Mam. It would have been easy for Robinson to say, yeah, my players are ahead, shouldn't have done it, but he stood by him. And that's what you need to do. Because JT, in that instance, as you said, it was quite cowardly that he's hiding behind his journal card. Brother, you're not a journalist. You'll never be a journalist. You can barely speak in front of a microphone. You got called out for making a shit call. Accept it. Accept it. Like someone put in the thread, I just want to, B Massive said 8 weeks for a verbal and 9 weeks for driving under the influence and unlicensed. How does that make any sense?
Well, we questioned it last year when we saw obviously there was something similar happening with Fox at the same time. We don't condone obviously Fox's actions or inaction.
Absolutely not.
But the Ezra Mam situation was hush hush.
Yeah, bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And I understand that Fox didn't lose his job because of what he did. It was more because he lied to Gould, and I think that was the worst part. But the whole situation is just look, I understand why JT would be upset. I'm gonna say that I understand why he's be upset. But bro, Spencer Leniu is brown. He's black. Like I don't that for me is where it sort of gets...
honestly, no one really thinks he's genuinely racist. Surely not.
Like the bloke is as proud of his heritage as anyone else is. He's so proud of his. I think his Samoan heritage. He's very proud of it, and he wears the flag. He wears it like a mark of honor. All these bullshit, and then he comes down and says, "Oh, this is like it was a way to pile on for absolutely no reason." And he lost 8 weeks, bro. For me, JT comes out and wants to have an opinion, bro. Like you're just irrelevant. You've become irrelevant. Cameron Smith and Billy Slater are much better presenters, much better speakers. You feel like you need to say something so you don't become irrelevant. Stay out of it. You shouldn't have said shit because you know what? You make yourself look like
a lot of the
wanker.
virtual signalers came out. You know, they don't generally give a shit, but here's their chance to make it look like they're, you know, equal rights warriors. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's
Can I
what it
just
was.
say? Can I just say very quickly, just in case people don't understand, I am 100% against racism. When Latrell Mitchell was getting booed and was getting racist abuse from fans across different stadiums, we came out and we said, this
It was
is
his own
bullshit. We
fans.
stand with Latrell. Like, this is, I absolutely 100% completely abhor any type of racism. Stop that bullshit. Like just because I'm saying JT's an idiot doesn't mean that I support racism. That's not. I just want to make that very, very clear. X-Defiant Updates just said something. Then Richie the Grub called Bulldog supporters from different. What did he say? He said something stupid about.
Man, have you seen Dean Ritchie in real life?
Yeah, I saw him at the Manly game last
Bro,
year.
can you
and
believe that guy's got a job? You know what it is? It's that vacuum about 30, 35 years ago, and because he's from a certain demographic, because I'll put it back on him.
Yeah.
And no one was really interested in becoming a sports journalist. He must have just been one of 2 applicants that applied and got the job. Honestly, I can't believe someone like that is a journo. Or
it's
I cannot
disgusting
believe it.
that they pile on to us Bulldogs fans. You know, like they
The
pick on
guy's
one little
stealing a
report.
living. It's insane how he's stealing a living.
There was one bad case last week or 2 weeks ago in a huge crowd of some minor incident.
Guy's like 5'1".
They're trying to paint us like it's a dangerous place to go. He said before the Manly game last year, the Manly people don't like to travel to the Bulldogs games.
They don't go anywhere.
The crowd is scary. You know, you should go to a Bulldogs game and see if you want to be amongst the crowd. Me and my brother were there, and we were right in front of the box where he was in there. So my brother saw him, and he goes, "Rah!" He tried to go, look, the scary Bulldogs fans are coming to get you.
Have you seen the guy? He's literally 5'1", shaped like a squash toothpaste bottle, pasty white. Like, what the fuck? I don't give a shit what I just said, but if you see me in real life, you're like, oh yeah, he's right. He's actually 5'1", shaped like a squash toothpaste bottle. The guy looks like he's got no intelligence. I'm surprised he can even string 3 words together. He's probably uses ChatGPT to write his sentences for the paper, which is a lot of guys do these days.
Hey, Eddie Abs has asked, are there any competent journos? Actually, I think there are, to be honest.
No, there is, but this guy is stealing a living, honestly.
We had Darcy McDonald on.
She's amazing.
McDonald on last year. Like, that's a footy head. That's a true rugby league journalist that loves the game. You know, she's maybe not had the opportunities that she deserves, and she's still stuck by it. There's so many other journalists that you see, like, you know, there's heaps of guys out there that aren't the big names, and you don't know them because they're not putting up controversial shit. They're not making dumb comments like Dean Ritchie is. Like, Dean Ritchie's a racist. You go on his Twitter, the type of shit that he shares from the type of accounts, like typical right-wing, you know, white supremacy shit that he shares.
Like I said, he was one of 2 people that applied for a job and got it. Because back then, you know, how do you think someone like Buzz is, you know, stayed relevant for 5 decades?
He's made a living hating on the Bulldogs, Buzz, hasn't he?
Yeah, he loves it. His feud with Gould is what keeps him alive.
Oh, I'll give Buzz something.
You know, you got old men, like, you know, TV shows where, like, they suck the blood of, like, dead babies, or, like, yeah, they didn't need to find a special rose. I feel like his hate and his feud with Gus Gould is what keeps him alive.
What keeps him going.
Where's the feud? Where's the hate? I haven't hated on Gus for a few weeks.
He's a fossil. He's a fossil. Gets him out of bed.
100%.
So there's some good journalists out there, like Michael Shamus is a good one. I like reading his articles.
Yeah, I think Shamus is good.
I don't mind reading Adrian Prozenko. I mean, this one's a controversial one, but I like reading his stuff. Danny Widler.
I agree.
I find Danny Wilder takes more of a neutral stance. Like, he just reports on it. He's not trying to say lies or anything, but he goes to the issue right away. And a lot of people hate on that.
I'm a big fan of Danny Widler. I don't like Carianos, but I think Michael Shamus is great.
No, I like Michael Carianos, so I like
Big fan of
Carianos.
Widler. Honestly, there are a few good ones out there, to be honest. Like,
I like Riccio. Riccio's all right.
Dave Ricchio's all right, only when he's blowing, you know, Cronulla smoke up everyone's ass. He's such a big, and then spreading lies about St. George. Because he sees them as a threat. He's a big Cronulla fan, Riccio.
I don't like his head.
Yeah, and he's always spreading lies about St. George or breaking rumours so things don't happen. He scuffled. You know, honestly, I reckon he scuttled a few signings by getting the scoop. I reckon he ruined the Tom Hazelton signing because he couldn't hack it. I hope his club burns. I hate journalists that got an agenda.
I do want to say one thing, though. And this is where I think the NRL needs to be really careful about the fan crackdown. And this is where I think the Bulldogs have been really good in supporting their fan base. So if you remember the red and black block for the Western Sydney Wanderers,
Well, that was
they were making a
fantastic
lot of
when it
noise
started.
10 years ago. It reinvigorated A-League. It made it one of the biggest competitions in the in Australia. And other teams were building their supporter bases based off how much energy the red and black block had. Then the A-League started to crack down on the red and black block. They pretty much scuttled everything that the red and black block were able to do, and they killed that supporter base. And the A-League never, ever recovered. Now, I'm not suggesting the same thing would happen to rugby league or the NRL in Australia, but when you have idiots like Dean Ritchie coming out and attacking, such a passionate fan base like the Bulldogs, what you risk is alienating and destroying one of the strongest, loudest support bases for rugby league. And let's be honest, right? The amount of PR that the Bulldogs gave the NRL last year, just from how loudly they supported their team, would have been in the millions. Everyone was reporting about it. Every single channel was talking about it. The Bulldogs are out in Belmore, on Bellwood Road. The Bulldogs supporters of this, the drums, the noise, the this. That generates PR for rugby league. That generates hype for rugby league. Other codes will look at the Bulldogs supporter base and be like, we wish we had a team that had a supporter base as loud and as rambunctious as that of the Bulldogs. Even Seraldo said it. He went all over the world. And he didn't really find a supporter base that outdid us in our passion and our noise. Right? So these dickheads that come out like Dean Ritchie and that, and look, to be really fair, I feel like he's the only one, him and maybe Rossfield. But everyone else, and Asta's been so supportive, like Dan Ganane, you look at even Reedy, even some of that have notoriously hated the Bulldogs or been against the Bulldogs have been so supportive of the crowd. And I love that, because you know what? This is what's going to take rugby league and rugby league supporters to the next level, right? And look, I think it's just something that NRL needs to keep an eye on to ensure that we can build more supporter bases like the Bulldogs, not scupper them, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I noticed last year when James Graham started to speak about the impact that the Bulldogs crowd have on the playing group, how important the Bulldogs fan base is. He says when they start to turn up, he's reporting about it. Like the game last year where we beat Parramatta in the dying stages, Blake Wilson scored.
Oh my God.
The fans got the team over the line in that game. So not only is it important to the NRL and the revenue, it's important to the playing group. It's important to the teams. The atmosphere. I mean, I never played school level reps and junior reps and that, but even playing in front of 1,000 people, the difference between that and an empty stadium, imagine what it's like playing in front of 60,000, 70,000. That's that is something that the NRL needs to do more to support clubs with strong supporter bases, make games that actually help bolster that, more local derbies, work out how we can have more
David's
of those
loud. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, you're 100% right. And look, I think we set the example. And Bulldogs fans need to remember we're the best. We're the best club when it comes to the supporter fan base. So we need to be out there. Every single one of us, we're wearing this jersey. We're representing our club. We need to be an example of how we conduct ourselves with our team and with opponents, and how we treat them with competition but love. And even when we get high on like the exhilaration of smashing them, we have to always be best behaved. But I think we are. I think we're just as good, if not better, than all the other clubs. And I've been to a lot of away teams, away games, and I've felt, not welcome in much more ways than you would feel at a Bulldogs game.
Oh, I've been to Manly. Like I remember, where did I go? Years and years ago. I think it was in. I went to Brookvale, and I had some drunk asshole just spilled a little bit of alcohol on me. And I said, hey, what's going on? And he's having to go at me. I was like, are you normal? You spill alcohol on me. Like, you're lucky I'm not cracking in the head. Like, I'm just turning around and say, hey, be careful, right? I've also experienced, a lot of racism at some Panthers games. I've copped it as well. So, but the problem is, I know so many good Panthers. No, but I mean, I know so many good Panthers fans. I have so many good mates that are Panthers fans, or that are Tigers fans, for example. I know people don't like Tigers fans, and it's just like, you know, shit's gonna happen. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. You know, we've been going for an hour and a half. I love this. I reckon we can go for another hour if we really wanted to. Are there any comments that you guys? Oh, I wanted to ask you guys very quickly. How do you guys think the Bulldogs will go after the bye? Do you think it'll be a benefit or a problem for us? And this is actually from one of our supporters from the Thekennel.net.au forums. He's asked this question, and he sort of asked us to ask it on the podcast. It was from, I'll give you guys a name. It was from a supporter, Gretchy21. Would be great to discuss how you think coming off the bye will influence this game, good or bad. What do you guys think? Do you think it'll be a positive that we're going to be off the bye, or a negative?
Dibbo?
Well, repeat that again.
The
coming
bye,
off the
good
bye?
or bad for the
No, good. They need a rest.
Bulldogs?
Yeah, good. They strung 6 games together. Rest, sit there, reassess. Let's review our first 6 rounds.
You think?
You know, get mentally there again because we got Souths on a blockbuster, and then we got the Broncos up. Is it up in Brisbane?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice rest. Recharge the batteries, you know. And then they go again for about another 6 rounds, recharge the batteries.
I think the extra week for Kicks and Burto to get their injuries right. Kira's to recover from his first game back, having a blinder off after so many weeks off. That just extra time to prep for a Friday day game. So it would have been a short turnaround if they had to play last week. I think it's perfect. I think we'll use it to our advantage to get the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't think historically we struggled too much after a bye, and especially this year, it's our first bye. Gives more time for Burto and Kicks to get back in shape. You know, Kira's had an extra week off after playing so well against the Knights, and I think the other thing is that it gives us the time to build a better game plan that directly targets the weaknesses in the Rabbitohs, and I think that's the one thing that Seraldo is showing. That sort of helps him stand out amongst a lot of other coaches, is that he has specific plans going in for specific teams. And Jason Taylor, we mentioned this last week, but I want to mention this again. I think Jason Taylor needs to get a lot of credit for this because he's doing wonders for our attack, and the way he's working with Sexton is just so fantastic. So look, I agree. I think it definitely is a positive. Also, did you know that before the Good Friday games between the Dogs and the Rabbitohs, apparently they used to be the Anzac Day fixture? Do you guys know if that's correct? So we have Benno Bulldog on the Kennel podcast, Kennel Forums, has said that I would like some discussion about how Southern Dogs were traditionally the Anzac Day feature. I sort of don't remember that.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. I know at some point, like as a kid going to the Easter. So the Easter show came to Olympic Park in 1998, and I do remember being at the Easter show and watching Bulldogs versus Brisbane. So it wasn't always typically Souths, but it would have changed some point in the last 10 years, and it became a Good Friday.
Right. Okay. I'm just.
What about these Tigers? I just to interrupt, I keep seeing more and more of their players. They're self-sabotaging. So you got their players, more of them coming out publicly. Now even Taruva's put up a post, you know, on his socials, and it's basically Lockie Galvin's locker, you know. And then Fanua Apollo liking a post from a Tigers fan, and
yeah, it's great.
Self-sabotaging.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it's self-sabotage, is it? Aren't they supporting the decision by Jerome Luai and?
Yeah, I know, but they're going now to take and post on social media, basically borderline attacking him.
I think that they're taking a stand. I honestly, I am so for this because I think this is needed for the Tigers team. If they you think of it this way, right? If you let someone in your team get away with saying, I don't think I can play under Benji Marshall because he can't develop my game, and I essentially saying he's a shit coach, what you're doing is you're writing your season off. You are saying this coach is not good enough. The fans are going to not like it. The players are going to start revolting against him. And all you're doing is starting to you're inviting problems.
Yeah, but have some class about it. Have some, not having it at you, but have some class about it. Ben Hunt and Lomax at St. George. Did they go and sit them in reserve grade
Yeah,
and then
but
tell
bro,
them also,
Ben
and then
Hunt
also
and
get the
Lomax
players above them to
destabilized the
berate
team
them?
because they didn't want to be there. They were doing it down and down. At least
Yeah, they don't want to
Luai
be
and
there. So what does
yeah,
Galvin
but
want to be?
Luai and that are doing it publicly, and then they're putting a line in the sand. They're saying this is what we demand of everyone that's going to play in our
Look
team.
at the,
If
look
you're
at,
not
look
in
at the
for the
lengths
team,
they're
fuck
going.
off.
Look at the lengths they're going to. There's
Nah,
no
making a
class
social
there.
media
What a
post is-
bunch
I
of
don't
grubs.
think
I wouldn't want to play with them. You know,
Nah.
he's entitled to go look elsewhere to play. Is he not?
18 months out, like
Yeah,
this.
bloody oath.
Come on, man.
It's
I disagree.
part of the laws. That's it.
I disagree.
And it's not him. Hang on a sec. Let me finish. You know, it's not him that came out. It's the Tigers that came out and did the press release. They did it to themselves. Simple as that.
Yeah,
the
why?
Sydney sports fan
Isaac
is
Moses
so
said,
backwards. It's been happening in USA for 5 decades.
Hang
They've
on.
got to get
hang
used
on.
to it.
They said
If
to
your
him,
club's good
we
enough,
want to
they'll
make an
retain the
offer.
player. They're happy,
Wait,
they'll stay.
calm down.
Although,
They said they wanted to make an offer, and their coach said, "Don't." His manager said, "Don't even bother." So the whole thing's a bit of a schmozzle. But if the players are taking a stand and they want the public to know that it was them that made the decision.
Yeah.
yeah, all right, fucking hell, like keep blowing smoke. All right, fuck yous, like get over it. Sorry to swear on air, but get over yourselves.
So we'll beep it afterwards. Probably not.
Yeah, they're still carrying on. Like get over yourselves. You're just a bunch of players.
Yeah. Do you think
Get
it was
over
premeditated?
All
Like
right,
you're right. You're right,
Stop
Dibbo.
making,
Dibbo,
we didn't want him. Oh, we didn't want him. All right, get over
Yeah.
yourselves.
Dibbo, you were saying that
Show
it
the
was the
passion.
Tigers.
Preach,
It was the
Dib,
Tigers
preach.
that came out. They came
Honestly,
out and said,
they're
"Hey,
showing no class. They're being a bunch of grubs now. It's the way the
Yeah.
club went about it that set this precedent. You know, if anything, Lockie was giving them an opportunity to go and start finding someone to fill the void, and the Tigers, like grubs, have got the reaction they've wanted. But honestly, I hope it derails their season just to see where the players are now carrying on.
I don't think
No
it will.
class. It's not the first time this has ever happened.
I think it's going to
And
galvanize.
I have never seen any other team or players do what their players are doing. So I do hope they have a car crash of a season. And for the next decade and a half, for missing out on someone like this.
Hey, Scott Woods.
Some
made
players
a
got real
mad
big
point.
egos up
Hey,
their ass.
Scott Woods
Galvin's
make a
not the
mad
first to
point.
go do this, and he won't be the last, but
Scott
they're carrying
Woods
on
said
like,
the
you know,
team-
he's done a cardinal sin. They've almost. What is he, Judas Iscariot or something? Come on.
The team is cutting off their
Honestly.
nose to spite their face. I think that's a great comment. And it makes a lot of sense. I don't agree with the way Deep's carrying on about it. I think that Galvin's 100% to blame here, or a lot to blame. And
what?
I stand with.
And
I
his
stand
For
with
what? Who
manager.
made the press release? And in the manner they did it.
Hey, Jamie Teasdale, you
They've
know what?
thrown him
We're
under
going to
the
get you on the
bus.
podcast next week. I'm going to reach out to you. Let's get you on the podcast. Let's show your frames. You're an absolute legend, bro. This guy is the biggest supporter. I love you, James. You're an absolute legend.
Good on you,
There you go,
Jamie.
Deep, for the swear jar. We're going to, hey, you know what? That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the swear jar. Every time someone tips us, we're gonna put them the biggest contributor to the swear jar, because you know what, Jamie?
Can
you're
I
absolute
just
legend.
add, I'm not having a go you guys at the home, but like every one of yous, don't you always look for a better deal, for a better job, for a higher paying job? Do you not? If you don't like it,
Okay,
you leave.
no, you're right, but they didn't even entertain the Tigers' offer. Anyway, I don't.
Yeah, that's all right, because that's just happened at my workplace as well. Somebody's blown work out of the water. I just had a gentleman.
It's always 10 o'clock. It's always 10 o'clock. We've held John for a long time. I really hope you've enjoyed
What a
the time,
small,
John.
honestly, that's a small mentality
Love
club. To think the world revolves around them, they are a
Hey,
small
John,
mentality club.
John,
Anyone in
that's
the
enough,
know,
Dib.
anyone
I
with
get it.
professionalism,
I
no,
get it,
they're a
Dib.
small mentality club, the Tigers. Small mentality,
I
small
love
club.
seeing Dib
They'll
fired
always
up,
be a
mate.
small club.
Hey, I'm gonna clip this. You know what? I'm gonna clip this rant by Dibbo, because this is.
They are a
worth
small
gold.
club, the Tigers. Honestly, I hope he just to burn him. I hope he ends up at the Roosters, because that's a big mentality club. Honestly,
Hey, Elmo, you're wrong. Dibbo is 100% right. I'm gonna clip this. I'm gonna
small
put it out on
mentality
socials,
club.
and I'm gonna see what people
Sydney-
say, and I want to hear what people
Sydney
say.
Sports administrators are so backwards. It's not
John,
the first and last
love-
time happens.
love
And
having
USA
you
Sports,
on.
it happens all the time. You get some superstar that leaves the team mid-season and goes to another one. There's plenty of these sort of players. They need to get over themselves, the Tigers.
John, you're always welcome to join us every single time. Love the Dibbo rant. Love everything.
Loved it.
You know, just before we go, I'd love to hear your opinion about what Dibbo's saying. I'd love to hear.
Mate, I absolutely. You know what? I love Dibbo, the passion. But look, you have to. Every argument has two sides. There is truth to the fact that the Tigers came out and made a statement. So maybe they were preparing for the axing, or maybe there's some premeditated actions there. Obviously, you owe a lot to your club, but yeah, everyone's entitled to get the best possible
John,
deal.
can I? you know, it's just similar. I know it's similar. Obviously, they're professional sports, but you as an employer, you can't always satisfy everyone. But you go around, you let the players then start throwing him under the bus and being so not
we
with
spoke,
no
we spoke,
grace
we,
whatsoever.
yeah. I mean, look, we spoke about it today. We have people resign, and then there's a period where they work for 2, 3, 4 weeks. It all depends on the attitude of that person. Typically, if that person is toxic to the culture of the team or the employer, then everyone else will say, hey, maybe it's better if you pay this guy his last month and tell him to leave now, because he's bringing everyone else down. But if he's someone that's optimistic and he has good values and good culture, you say, hold on, this person's willing to fight with us to the very end, whatever their term is. Exactly. And we, as outsiders, unfortunately, at the West Tigers, we do not know behind the scenes what he was doing for the team culture.
Yeah, but do you let the place become a toxic place? Because these guys are starting to become toxic. You know, they're almost becoming hillbilly-like, you know.
No,
outsiders not welcome. Have you seen them carry on?
I think they're taking a stand. I actually think they're
taking a stand for what?
You can't say it's
I guarantee you, there's how many players there? 2025. In the next few years, they'll be in the same situation. They'll be going elsewhere because A, we're not performing well. B, I can get more money elsewhere. C, I don't like the coaching staff.
Yeah, but his stated reason for leaving is that he thinks Benji is a shit coach, and he's come
fucking
out and said that.
I've said this last year. He's holistic in his approach, and I just said it in my last comment. Somebody there will not like the coach or the feel of the place. So watch it come around.
Okay.
Anyone that's acting like this is all new has.
Hang on. If the Bulldogs, if the Bulldogs fans judged Cameron Ciraldo on his first year at the Bulldogs, we would say he's a crap coach. But he's proven otherwise. And I think that Benji Marshall, I'm not saying he's on the same trajectory, but he's on a good trajectory. Right? So for us to judge Benji so quickly it's very narrow-sighted, because Benji needs to give him to the end of the season. If he gets the spoon or if he's in the bottom 4, no problem. I don't see why he's a crap coach.
Scott Wood, don't believe that media beat-ups that certain players don't. Certain player managers, clubs don't deal with them.
Maybe Galvin and Benji don't get along.
Can I say who is winning in the entire equation? Jerome Luai. He's on top of the Panthers on the table, and he's winning the battle with his former team. And they may very well finish
all right.
higher than the
Short-term gain for long-term loss. He can have that.
Shane Flanagan with Lomax. Lomax came out and was quite disrespectful to Flanagan about him not being a great coach. And look at him now; he's at the Eels.
Yeah, okay. And Flanagan
showed
more grace and class.
Yeah, just calm down. I'm just saying that there have been errors made. Obviously, Lockie Galvin
club.
is
small club
18,
mentality.
18, 19-year-old.
West Tigers
has let his manager and his dad
more like
deal
West Magpies
with it very, very poorly. So we'll see what comes of it. Do I think that the Bulldogs are a chance to get Lockie Galvin?
Oh, I hope so. I hope he goes to a club like that, just so you rub it in the haters' face, because they're going places.
Yeah, look. A lot of people saying Benji isn't a coach, or Benji didn't come from a winning system.
And that guy gets everything handed to him: a media job, the golden child, when he was playing, only one premiership, and now a coaching gig.
But I think we can give him the chance that he's brought in a team that can do a job. Let's give him a chance to see what job they can do. A lot of Bulldog supporters did judge Ciro after the first season. Everyone kept saying we got the wrong assistant. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember saying, no, I trust the process. And people are like, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just holding on to hope. Look, Tigers fans, from what I can see, are very happy so far. Anyway, I think there's enough about Lockie Galvin. Again, I think the Bulldogs are going to win by plenty. Please, everybody, just as a quick reminder, if you are in the conversation, we will be at the stadium on Friday. Please, if you are at the game, come. Let us record some content, some footage together. I'll ask you guys some questions. You guys can ask me some questions. You guys can talk some shit to my face, and I'll be happy to put it up there as well. Please, John, if you're going to be there, I would love to see you. Love to see you in person. Record some content if you have there.
If I could just say one last thing, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been really good. I love it. I hope to do it again sometime.
It's a privilege having you on.
No, it's a pleasure being with you guys. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. But also to the fans, the people still watching, please subscribe. Please support this channel, Thekennel, what the guys do. It's very hard work doing a podcast, and they turn up every week and they entertain us. So whatever you can do to support, watch, subscribe, like, and share. That's the way to support this production.
Love you, John.
Love every guy that comes on the podcast. I value every one of you, man. So I love seeing your comments.
Give us a thumbs up to the video. As you said, share, like, and subscribe. John, I'll put it out there in front of everyone. anytime you want to come on, we're here every Tuesday. Bro, you're more than welcome. I will send you the link every week. You want to join? Ahla sahla. You are more than welcome every single week to join. It's been an absolute blast having you, bro.
And really enjoyed it. And go the Bulldogs this Friday.
Up the doggies, up the doggies. Thank you so much to everybody that's still there. As we say, please, if you're still here, just give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to share when you can. Join us on Friday. We have a lot more content coming out. Thank you so much for your time. We love you guys. We appreciate all that you do for us and all the support that you give us. And I promise that we're going to be giving you a lot more content and a lot more stuff over the next couple of months. Stick with us. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. And if you guys are celebrating Easter, if it is going to be Good Friday, Easter Monday, we really wish you have a great time, a great weekend. Spend a lot of time with your family. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate it. Awesome, guys. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much. And forgive us if we said anything that that was maybe a little bit out of line, but we don't care. So thank you very much, guys. Have a good night.
Adios.